Welcome to the Xbox Monday Night Chat Tonight show. It seems, although not Xbox directly connected, there is a genuine Steam Deck contender rival. Yeah, a genuine rival to the Steam Deck. We'll be talking about that, of course. I was wrong about Japan. Gome. I was wrong about Japan. I could be wrong about the FTC in the US. We'll be diving in on that. Is there a new controller in the works for Xbox? Maybe. Again, we'll be talking about all of that and all the Xbox news as ever. So I think it's time to roll the titles. Yokoso. Arigata gozaimasu. Welcome. Yeah, konbanwa. To the Xbox Monday Night Chat. I hope you are good. I hope you are well. We've got another exciting show. Well, I hope it's exciting. It's another show. You know, we never quite know where it's going to go. I have a rough idea. I lay down the tracks roughly, but thanks to the wonderful chat, that is you lot, we never know quite where the conversation will go, where the chat will go. It is, as I always say, after all, the Xbox Monday Night Chat, and you are the chat, and you help the show live and breathe and go in exciting and interesting directions. As ever, let me know what games you've been playing. Put it down in the old chat and all of that, whatever platform, any stuff you want to be discussing tonight, get that down in the chat. It all helps oil the workings of this show and gives it that kind of extra. Yeah? I don't know what that was, but you know what I mean. It all helps, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, don't forget to hit the likes because I like it. Yeah, I do like it. YouTube likes it, and it helps people like you find awesome. And I say people like you, I mean like the clever people, the bright people, the people who know where it's at, who want to be informed, who want to open their minds. Yeah, those kind of people. Let's get more of them in here. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So hit the likes because I like it. YouTube likes it, and it helps those people find amazing content just like this. And if you are new here, arigato gozaimasu, do me the great honor, hit that subscribe button, toggle that notification bell, and that way, ladies and gentlemen, you'll know when I go live with content like this. Whew. Right, so last week, ladies and gentlemen, we talked about the whole, as we seem to be doing every week, but there's always something extra. The Xbox, strictly speaking, Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal. But there's a good reason we talk about it on a regular basis. There's always new bits of news and information. And it is the biggest game, the biggest deal in gaming. You know, one of the biggest games in tech. But certainly one of the biggest games, biggest deals in gaming, full stop, and it can change the landscape. It will probably change the landscape to a certain degree. To how much is the debate that the various competition and markets authorities around the world are having. Now, last week, and this is my gome to the Japanese FTC, right? Kudasai. Gome. I apologize because I should bow deeper because I cast aspersions on the Japanese FTC, thinking that they may favour with their, homebred Sony, as it were, yeah? And that there would be an element of nationalism in these decisions. And oddly enough, maybe that's why FTC might approve it, because they've been questioning Sony's power in the market, or people within the government in the US have. So there you go. But no, I was wrong, right? I was wrong, ladies and gentlemen. The Japanese FTC as we shall see here, pointing my head. So I'm just going to hit a button here and hopefully it doesn't stop streaming. No, I'll do it in a minute. The Japanese FTC, as you can all read by this document here, well, I hope you can read, basically said that it basically says they don't deem it to be the Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal will not impact the competition in Japan and will not have a kind of a bad effect. I'll take you to the web page and then you can read it along with me. The Japan, so basically, conclusion. So in this case, the corporate groups concerned plan to integrate Microsoft and Activision, hereinafter called the conduct, through stock acquisition merger. So basically, this is the Microsoft and Activision deal. And basically, we'll rush down to the conclusion. The Japanese FTC determined that the conduct of this case would not substantially restrain competition in certain fields of trade. And then there's a whole attachment. So basically, that's a tick from Japan. Yeah? And there was me casting aspersions on the Japanese FTC, doubting whether they would approve it so straightforwardly and rather lean in favour of Sony, because Sony comes from Japan. So there we go. I just thought I would share that with you, ladies and gentlemen. So as I say, Gome, apologise. I was wrong, ladies and gentlemen. I was wrong. We'll come to the chat. Let's go to the chat, see what you're saying. Let's just say, let's get in there. Good evening, Sednar. Now I've got my apologies to the nation of Japan out the way. Been playing Resident Evil Village. Good for you, sir. About time, Sednar. About time. It's a jolly good game. I do like it. Yeah, Caseball says, Village is class. It is class. Scooterama's in the house. Live Cloud Gaming. Am I late? No, you're not. I was a little bit late. I completely lost track of time, I'll be honest with you. I was so engrossed in a news story at the time, ladies and gentlemen. That's what happened. Yeah. Right. So I'm going to get to the FTC because somebody's enlightened me today that there was the people at the FTC in the US and actually a representative from the Competitions and Markets Authority in the UK were at a conference. In fact, they were at the like a seminar specifically talking about how governing authorities around the world manage mergers and acquisitions, in particular their impact on emerging markets. And there sat the representative of the UK Competition and Markets Authority, and there sat the representative of the US FTC. And they were basically talking about their general approach to things, and it was very revealing. So I'll talk about that as well. And it could cast doubt on the confidence that we may have shown, or certainly I may have shown, on the ease with which the Activision Blizzard deal may sail through. I'm not sure it necessarily will sail through. And we'll come to that. We'll come to that, though. In other news, storage is always an issue, isn't it? Especially on the Series S, ladies and gentlemen. Well, there's an all-new 1 terabyte storage card. You can see that there. Plug it in. I've got plenty of space. I don't fill my Xbox Series X up with everything. I mean, how many games can you play? There's plenty of room. The Xbox Series S, however, different kettle of fish. Anyway, So look, all new 1 terabyte storage card for Xbox Series X and S. Very handy. It's been over 2 years since the Seagate range of expansion cards were first made available. Excuse me. For Xbox Series X and Series S. We're finally about to get an alternative option from a new manufacturer in the near future, according to a listing over at Best Buy. And this is from WD Black. And here we go. 1 terabyte expansion card for Xbox Series X at $180. I suppose it is a terabyte. We don't know when it's going to be released. But for you Xbox Series S people, very handy, ladies and gentlemen, very handy. Go back to theirs. Now, talking of Activision Blizzard, certain parties are not happy with the impact that it may have on cloud practices. Well, actually, no, this is more about cloud practices in general. And this is from our old friends at Google. Google Cloud. So this is not specifically about gaming. This is about cloud. But it all sort of connected, isn't it? Google Cloud has accused Microsoft of anti-competitive cloud computing practices and criticised imminent deals with several European cloud vendors, saying these do not solve broader concerns about its licensing terms. In Google Cloud's first public comments on Microsoft and its European deals, its vice president, Amit Zavery, told Reuters the company has raised the issue with antitrust agencies and urged the European Union antitrust regulators to take a closer look. In response, Microsoft referred to a blog post in May last year where its president, Brad Smith, said it has a healthy number 2 position when it comes to cloud services, with just over 20% the market share of global cloud services revenue. It's just interesting that, you know, this is the what's not directly connected to the Activision Blizzard deal. It has a sort of, it plays into it slightly, because one of the concerns is that it just, you know, it will give them in one area of the cloud business, yeah, retail, medicine, all of that, gaming is a big part. The cloud gaming aspect, it may give them an unfair advantage. That's an argument that they've had, and therefore give them an unfair advantage, or just add to their unfair advantage in cloud generally. So it's just kind of interesting, and it's rich coming from, one could argue it's rich coming from Google. Right. However, obviously we know that Xbox has offered a number of remedies to kind of appease the EU. And word is that the European Games Developer Federation, who feed into the EU and will kind of, will feed into the data that the EU take, are broadly satisfied with the remedies proposed by Microsoft. And this is from Idle Sloth here. Microsoft's remedies to address the EU competition concerns have received broadly positive feedback. The European Games Developer Federation, so that's the organisation that sort of represents the games developers across Europe, was generally pleased with the remedy offered. Microsoft's remedies to address EU competition concerns have received broadly positive feedback from the association representing video developers in Europe. The European Games Developer Federation was generally pleased with the remedy offer, but it has encouraged the Commission to further investigate how they would work in the future when the cross-platform distribution of games becomes more common. Sony and Google, Sony we know about, Google, just touched on there, have criticised the remedies proposed by Microsoft. There we go. Yo, Rabbi Henriksen, how are you? Hello, bro. Good to see you. Have you played Resident Evil 4? Not yet, but it does look good indeed. Sean L is in the house. Good to see you, Sean. Right, let's talk about... I'm going to come back to the Activision Blizzard, but we don't want it to take over the show, do we? We don't take over the show. There's a new handheld in town, ladies and gentlemen, and this one, by all accounts, could be a serious contender as a rival against the Steam Deck. And it is from Asus. And here it is. And interestingly enough, so this is a quick comparison between the Steam Deck Valve and this new thing, the ROG, Republic of Gamers Ally from Asus. Yeah, 17-inch display. Steam Deck one's slightly larger, but it's not a standard format. I think it just gives it a bit of extra width down the side. And it's 1280 by 800 at 400 nits and 60 hertz. So it's a refresh rate of 60 hertz. Whereas this new Republic of Gamers Ally handheld, it's slightly more compact, slightly smaller, 7-inch display, 1920 by 1080. So it's arguably a better resolution, a 1080 resolution basically, and 120 hertz refresh rate. So, all very exciting. But what's even more exciting is that Linus Tech Tips got his hands on it. So basically, Tom Warren here says, Asus has announced a Steam Deck competitor, 120 hertz, 1080p display, customized Ryzen APU from AMD, and it's running Windows 11. Yeah. Battery life, 30 minutes. Price, we don't know. Running on Windows. That's the meme there. It's running on Windows. But, interesting enough...
You know what's hiding in your business's data?
Well, we don't want the ads
Companies
yet.
have all...
Exact specs, this is not just another Steam Deck clone. Because
this is what Linus Tech Tips had to
more
say.
like 2 Steam Deck clones. They're claiming,
Here we are. They're claiming...
literally double the performance, twice the refresh rate, more than double the resolution, and I am one of only 2 people outside of Asus who gets to show off the ROG Ally prototype.
Now, look. I don't know if you can see on my screen. If I make that slightly bigger. I don't know whether that's just the Xbox app. I mean, in his games library, he's got Horizon Zero Dawn. So they're definitely downloaded games. High Life, Xbox app in there. By all accounts, a brighter screen. Anyway, highly recommend checking out Linus Tech Tips review of it because he's super excited about it.
And the only one who gets to show you our sponsor. Zoho
we don't want
just
to see it.
waiting for an opening. That switches between Windows and your game. Quick switcher and oh, that brings up their command center. Ooh, I really like this quick switcher between mouse mode. Is this to make it like keyboard jointed mouse or whatever?
Yes.
Cool.
Anyway, upshot is it's only a prototype that he's got.
Okay. quick toggle between.
But the
60
upshot
and
is,
20 hertz refresh.
let's just take that down. I'll run it in the back for you. There we go. Yeah. So the upshot is he kind of really likes it, and he says that they put a lot of thought into it, especially the way that you hold it, because people tend to hold it sort of not up, but they sort of hold it there. He's sort of talking about how when he first held it, it felt a bit awkward, but then when he rests it like you naturally do on a desk or something like that, it felt really comfortable, and that's the way it's designed, to sort of rest on a hard surface in front of you. But anyway, very interesting. We don't know what the price will be. We don't know how, you know, what sort of the cloud gaming options on it will be and stuff like that, what sort of Wi-Fi's in there. But it will play games natively. As you can see, he's playing Hollow Knight there and all of that. And by all accounts, this could be a real challenger to Steam Deck. I like its size. I like the fact it's slightly smaller as well than Steam Deck. Steam Deck never really interested me, but I think they've got the balance of sort of size about right. Xbox standard type controller layout. Anyway, look, we're not here to watch Linus Tech Tips. Check out the video if you're interested to see. He's one of the first people to get their hands on it and review it, albeit, ladies and gentlemen, albeit a prototype version. Ask which language you speak. Main name, all Swedish, then always German, French, English, Spanish, English. I just speak English, I'm afraid, and a tiny odd word of Japanese. That's it. A bit of schoolboy French, as we say. Right. Let me know what you think. Is that the sort of, does that new handheld, is it of interest? Are you curious? Do you think it can seriously challenge the Steam Deck, the dominance? Obviously, they have the advantage of having a whole sort of library behind it, a Steam Deck library. The Steam library behind it. Not all of it, obviously, because not all games kind of convert it. It'll be interesting to see whether the games need adapting or whether, because it runs Windows, the games run on that or run on something else in the background. I'll be curious. I'll be curious to know, ladies and gentlemen. Just checking my news here for you to keep you up to date. We've done that one. As ever, let me know your thoughts. It's always of interest. Put it in the chat and all of that. Right. So, before I get on to, there's a new UI that's worth talking about. The new Xbox Home user interface is getting a community section. Microsoft is adding a friends and community section, so it's that sort of line there in the middle, that strip in the middle there. The channel will live on the home screen and provide a quick glance at achievements, game clips, screenshots that friends or clubs are sharing. It's part of the bigger Xbox Home redesign for 2023 and has felt too much like an Xbox Game Pass ad so far. Yeah, it has. I agree, Tom. And this was from last year. Microsoft starts testing a new Xbox Home UI that will arrive in 2023. And this is it, by all accounts. Wish I could get a bigger picture, but he hasn't done it. So just a minor kind of layout, really. Nothing major there. Right. So, somebody sent me a very interesting video today. Well, I say interesting. It's quite dry, but I will sort of summarize it. It's this. So this is from the Justice Department in the US. So this is official. Yeah. I wanted you to see the YouTube name there. So this is official. This is from the Justice Department, and it is the 2023 Annual Antitrust Enforcers Summit. And this guy here is a prosecutor in the FTC for... Yeah, so he represents the Federal Trade Commission in antitrust mergers and stuff like that. And he mentions the deals that they've looked at. Including the Activision Blizzard deal.
As it is for many of us in this room. I mean, you can look at the FTC v. Facebook case, which involved a couple of mergers in a digital market that's filed under Chair Simons, digital market for personal social networking services. You could look at a case like Illumina Grail, which was filed under then Acting Chair Slaughter. The market was research, development, and commercialization of multi-cancer early detection tests. So obviously a new...
He's talking about medicine here, but he's going to get to the Activision Blizzard bit.
And you could look at a case like Microsoft Activision, which was filed late last year by the FTC, alleging harm not just in a market for high-performance gaming consoles, but also for multi-game content library subscription services and cloud-based gaming subscription services. Two really new, really important, we think, and really exciting possibilities for innovation to develop. And that, I think, leads me to the why. This is
so basically he goes on to explain, it's not on it. Yeah, he basically goes on to it to sort of talk about, so that's really key there. What he's talking about are not just one new market, the emerging cloud market, but also the emerging games via a subscription service. And which is sort of, I never thought about that as being a new market, but it is a new market. And, you know, their concerns are that being nascent markets, you know, new markets, new in the field, that the Activision Blizzard deal, so the Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal, could prevent that market from developing properly or developing in a new and exciting way. There's a certain element of unprobability. You know, they don't know exactly how that market will go, but they don't want to be in a position where those potential markets, a subscription game market and, you know, cloud gaming, you know, business is sort of swamped or restricted at early days because of one overly powerful controller. So he talks about that. But the key thing is really about their appetite. This is FTC's appetite for looking into this and a sense that you get. So later on, so he's the FTC guy. Then this lady here, Sarah Cardell, as it says there, is the chief executive of the Competition and Markets Authority. So this is the UK's version of the FTC that I've been talking about the last few weeks as well. And she talks about, I wrote it down. She talks about, bear with me, because it slipped my head, but I wrote it down. How did she describe it? She talks about, basically she's talking about previous cases. Here we are. And a history. She talks about specifically there being a history of under enforcement. That's the words that she uses. A history of under enforcement, i.e., they've not been as tough as they should have been in the past. And this was echoed by the guy from the FTC. This is about big tech growing too quickly, like your Facebooks, like your Googles, like, you know, Microsoft to a certain degree, and Twitter and all those kind of, big companies growing really quickly at a rate far quicker than was expected. And basically, I guess the CMA, Competition and Markets Authority in the UK, and the FTC sort of getting caught short. And now you have the various governments in the EU, in the UK, and the US questioning the power of big tech and why the wings of big tech were not, snipped earlier in order for them to get as big as they are. And now they can't do anything about it. However much they sort of try or threaten, it's like, well, the genie's out of the bag a bit. Genie's out of the bottle. Cat is out of the bag. The genie is out of the bottle. That's right. So there is an appetite in the UK Competition and Markets Authority and in the FTC to really scrutinise this deal. Because as I said earlier, it is a massive, massive deal in tech. It's $70 billion. It's a $70 billion deal anyway. Yeah? And that's in tech. It's a big deal in tech, let alone a big deal in gaming. And so this sort of history of under-enforcement, which is what they feel that they've done, the competition and market authorities have kind of done previously, they don't want to make that mistake again. Now, the question is, they have to justify any blocking of the deal on proper legal grounds as governed, or certainly on a framework as governed by the Competition and Markets Authority and the FTC that is, if challenged, is watertight. And, we've already seen Microsoft make quite major concessions, offering, cloud, the Xbox PC games to GeForce Now, Boosteroid, Ubitus and stuff like other cloud gaming, companies like that, offering Call of Duty to Nintendo and Sony, even though Sony aren't, going to accept it. And there's a good reason why Sony aren't going to accept it. Remember, this is according to Lulu Cheng Mersavi, the COO of Activision Executive, who said in a meeting, Jim Ryan says, "I don't want a new Call of Duty deal. I just want to block your merger." And apparently, Sony has admitted that they aren't actually concerned about a Call of Duty agreement. They would just like to prevent the merger from happening. So, yeah, back to the FTC and the Competition and Markets Authority. There is a genuine appetite to really have a good look. So I'm not sure. I was more confident last week that actually this is as good as done than I am this week, having watched this seminar, this summit on antitrust from these antitrust enforcers. These are the people that will be making this decision. Sarah Cardell is the chief executive. It is her organisation in the UK that will be making the decision. And interestingly enough, the UK's powers go beyond the UK market in a kind of strange way. There are certain criteria and frameworks that makes her very powerful. They were all very sort of envious of the power that the UK competition markets authorities have on international companies. And then this guy, John Newman, he will be making the decision. Him and his team, him and his team will be presenting the case for blocking the deal, or whether approving or blocking the deal, from the FTC's point of view. So it's a very interesting video to watch, even if it is slightly boring, because they're just lawyers talking about competition and market law, competition law, which I studied briefly. In fact, it was one of the, was it? Yeah, competition law was one of the modules I had to I had to study when I did my law degree. Yeah. But yeah, there you go. So I think, watch it if you're so inclined, and maybe your view on things will change. I don't know. I still think the deal will go through. I just think there's more hurdles and hoops. And I think Microsoft may have to make more concessions than they've already made. I think they're uncomfortable making any more concessions than they've already made. But I think they may well have to if they're to see the deal go through. Right, I'm just going to check what you guys have been saying in the old chatteroony. We do spend a lot of time on this, but it's interesting. I find it interesting. I hope that you find it interesting. I mean, part of me just wants the thing to be done. Can it be done already? Yeah, can we be done already, ladies and gentlemen? Just quickly check. Yeah, right. Yeah, you have to wait. Resident Evil 4. Wait a year before it's on sale. Absolutely. If the FTC okays the thing, can Xbox just keep Call of Duty off PlayStation because of the fact... Well, they could, out of spite, but, they're a business at the end of the day. They perfectly could do it out of spite. But there's still a lot, several billions, not billions, several, million copies, no doubt, are sold on PlayStation. But yeah, they could certainly make it uncomfortable for Sony for not accepting, the deal, ladies and gentlemen. But there we go. Right. Well, you know what, ladies and gentlemen? I don't mind saying this. I heard the FTC did not have the legal power to block the merger, only to sue Microsoft after the fact. I'm not sure exactly. Maybe, Gandhara, I'll have to research exactly how it works. Because, say, like the Japanese one, they just hand down a finding. And in the UK, I think they just hand down a finding. So, for instance... Let me just yeah, so the case they talk about in the case they refer to, I'm just going to call it up. It was the Facebook Giphy merger. Is the one they made reference to. What am I doing here? Bear with me. I've just got loads of... take out the studio mode. Go to new studio. Here we go. So this is the CMA is investigating the completed acquisition by Facebook. And I think they usually offer remedy sometimes. 6th of January, the CMA is now making the final order. On making of this order, the remitted reference has now been fully determined. So the CMA has found the completed acquisition by Facebook of Giphy may give rise to competition concerns in both the supply of display advertising in the UK and in supply of social media services worldwide. Facebook is required to sell Giphy. Yeah. So that was the condition. Facebook is required to sell Giphy. That was handed down by the CMA. So I'm not sure exactly how it works with the FTC, but basically that was the finding. They have to sell. Sorry, you've got to sell Giphy. Facebook Giphy merger's not going ahead. Well, it went ahead, but they were uncomfortable with it. You've got to sell Giphy. I'm just seeing what the updates were. Yeah. So they're quite powerful, ultimately. They're quite powerful. Right. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. I mean, obviously we normally go for an hour, but I don't know where everyone is today, if I'm honest. Seems a bit quiet in the chat. Is it the Easter holes? I don't know. But anyway, that adds an extra, having a decent amount of people in the, watching live and in the chat adds a good 15 minutes of bants. Yeah, doesn't it? Good 15 minutes of banter. Anyway, look, Crow's turned up already. Hey, all, how you doing, Crow? We're just wrapping up now because there's not enough bants going on, not enough people in the chat. Thank God you made it just in time. We've been through everything. Jonas Yerner says, some news if Ubisoft Plus coming to xCloud. Well, it is. It's just a case of when. The expectation, the rumours were that it was going to be taking place this month. That we talked about it briefly last week. Yeah, soon is the earliest we have. Xbox leak. Yeah, there was a leak that reveals Ubisoft Plus will include 60 plus games and could be happening soon, very soon. And it won't be part of Xbox Game Pass. Fingers crossed, we're just a few days or weeks. Well, in this case, weeks. But there we go. It's always appreciated. Catch up, Crow. You'll be good. Yeah, it's Easter week. Well, you can watch on holiday, said no. That's all I'm saying. This is the best Xbox live podcast show on the planet. Yeah. People are missing out. But anyway, there you go. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Just before I leave, games I've been playing, I jumped into my brain has gone dead today. It's not functioning. Too much chocolate. Is that a thing? Too much chocolate? Yakuza 2. That's it. I jumped in Yakuza 2. It's good, isn't it? Although I got a copyright strike because of some opening music. Lord Kenzel played Yakuza 2. I played the first 10 minutes. I got caught in a feedback loop and I accidentally chose Japanese as my language. And then you go, I've got to change the settings, but then you can't read it. You can't read in the settings where it was. I managed to read it thanks to the power of Google Lens and the ability of Google Lens to translate. I found the settings and managed to get it back to English. Japanese language, but English subtitles. And having played Judgment and really liking Judgment, I was pleasantly surprised by Yakuza because I think it's even better. It looks even more cinematic and it played really, really well. But anyway, that's what I've been playing. Oh, and Call of the Sea. I played a bit more of Call of the Sea. Oh my gosh, that is so tough, some of the puzzles in that. But very satisfying when you get it right. Very satisfying. Like any game where I have to get a notepad out and make notes, even though you make notes in the game, sort of virtual notes, like, because I couldn't remember sequences. I can't remember sequences. And there's lots of sequences to remember. But anyway, only here it was only comes as a not game, but Microsoft release. Yeah, that's right, Jonas. It will be like EA Play, so you can play your subscription. You'll at start you'll have access to 60 games. Do you see what I mean? Look, 2 extra people come into the chat, and already we've added an extra 5 minutes to the show. You see, this is what happens. This is what happens when we've got chat and the wonderful people who spark in the conversation. It was a great show. It was a great show, and you lot are very lucky, and and I appreciate you being here. But you're the lucky ones. You get to see this gold. It's gold, people. It's gold. Yeah, that's the plan anyway. Microsoft, you basically play your Ubisoft Plus subscription, and then you get access to all those games, 60 games from the get-go, if the rumours are right, and all of that. Right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. This time, definitely, it's Aragata Sayonara Jane, as we say in Japan, as they say in Japan. Thank you, everybody who turned up tonight. I really, really appreciate it. Always means a lot to me. I love having a chat with you guys. I love what you've got to say. I'm curious. I'm interested in what games you've been playing, your thoughts, because, we're all into gaming and stuff like that, but we like different games. We have different perspectives. And it's always interesting to get the perspectives of other people and not just assume that one perspective is the right perspective. And that is why I do shows like this, the Xbox Monday Night Chat, to get the feedback, to get a sense, a litmus test, as it were, of where general feelings are in the world of gaming, and in this case, in the world of Xbox and all of that. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. If you are on holiday for the Easter holes, lucky you. Have a wonderful time. I hope the weather is good and all of that. And why don't you join me on Thursday for the GeForce Now Thursday chat? If you aren't all sunning it on a beach or having European trips or going on holiday or having a spring break or whatever it is, it would be lovely to see you on Thursday. If not, same time, same place next week. Janet!